Hey everybody, welcome to SchollyLife. Really excited. We got Zach Stark here from New Jersey, one of the best senior golfers in the country. Zach, thanks for joining me.
Pleasure, Ross. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Zach, let's just take it back to when you were younger. At what age did you start getting into golf, and did you play other sports growing up?
Growing up, it was mostly basketball, soccer, little league, the normal sports that a normal kid would play.
How do you think it's helped you or benefited you not playing golf at such a young age and playing these other sports?
Well, I think a lot of the kids, get burnt out, and early on, I was just enjoying it, and I feel like I don't have as much pressure on me just because these kids have been playing for so much longer and they're expected to do well.
Okay.
Um, so I just took it lightly at first, but then when I got into sophomore year and junior year, I really thought I could start, playing at the same level of those kids that were, that have been playing, like you said, since 5, 6, 7 years old.
Okay. So just take us back as far as, you're kind of 12, 13, 14, 15, kind of getting into golf. And then you said, you took it a little bit more seriously as 15, 16-year-old. When did you know, like, okay, like I could maybe be pretty good and maybe get a scholarship and maybe play some, high-level college golf? At what point did that kind of hit you?
Um, I'd probably say around the end of sophomore year.
Okay.
Um, I was playing some really good golf in high school, and I think the first tournament I played that summer was an AJGA, and I finished in the top 10. I played well. Um, so I think right after that, I said, I could really do this, and um, I just kept working hard that summer. Had a little bit of a slump junior year, but I still felt really confident that I could play at, whether it be D1, 2, or 3, I felt like I could play college golf.
Okay. And talk a little bit about just golf in general for you, your junior, senior year. What's like a typical day for you? I know in New Jersey it snows a lot in the winter. Are you doing a lot of stuff off the course to get stronger, to get faster? Do you watch a lot of tape? Do you play indoors? What's typical for a guy like you?
Um, I haven't been much of the workout type. I've been more of, beating balls, learning my swing. I've been more of a field player. Um, so during the winter, I usually went to the range or indoors. We've got like a little heated range nearby. Um, so I was really just doing that. And then over the summer, it'd be get up early and hit balls till noon, eat lunch, go play 18 holes. It was like that. If I didn't have a tournament, I'd just be practicing.
Okay. And what are you working on now? What would you say is kind of the thing that's going to get you ready for college? You're starting college here in a few months. What are you really going to try to work on this summer before you get there?
I think I'm just going to try to play as many tournaments as possible, get used to it because as a freshman, you got to come in there being ready to play if you make the traveling team. So mostly just playing a lot of tournaments and getting that experience against some amateur players, top college players.
And talk just a little bit about balance. Have you had any struggles as a high school student athlete balancing the academics and high school versus high level golf? I mean, traveling, playing a lot of tournaments, and the training with trying to have somewhat of a social life.
Yeah, it is. It is a little tough, but the main thing is time management. I've always had a little bit of a problem with time management. Want to
Okay.
spend more time on the course than doing my homework.
Okay.
Um, but I think that high school is the best way to prepare. And I think just manage your time, get your studies done early on, so you can practice and be able to play without worrying about your studies. I think that's the main part of being a collegiate athlete or a student athlete.
And
It's just balancing your time. Yeah.
are you worried at all about college and how tough it's going to be to manage that time?
I think my parents are more than I am.
Okay.
Um, but I think it'll be a process that I think it's a process that all freshmen take on,
Yep.
no matter how good of a student they are. I
Yep.
think that the demands are much higher. If you're if you're a D1 athlete than if you are a D3 athlete. Especially coming from the high school level, it's going to be a totally different atmosphere. But I think that it's a process for everyone, and no matter how good of a golfer you are or how good of a student you are, um, it's going to be a process.
I agree. Very mature of you. First semester, freshman year is hard for every student athlete. There's a lot of parties to go to. There's a lot of schoolwork to do. There's a lot of golf to get going. And I think, like you said, every freshman head spins for a while. Eventually, you get locked in. I'm sure you'll do fine. You seem very mature. So let's take me back a little bit through your recruiting process. Yours a little unusual as you commit a little bit later. At what point would you say you started your recruiting process, and how did that start?
I first met with an advisor around the end, I'd say the middle of sophomore year.
Okay.
And we started looking at schools, seeing where I could play right now. And we made a list of reach schools for academics, golf, same with target schools and safety schools.
So sophomore year, you made a list of schools. Did you send these coaches an email? What did you do? What was your process like then?
Yeah, at first I'd say I was recruiting the coaches instead of them recruiting me.
Okay.
That's what I did first. I left some phone calls. There's certain NCAA rules where they can't contact you at a certain time, but I sent emails, I sent results, I sent swing videos. But there's a time in the process where it switches. I can't tell you when that is exactly, just because it's different for everyone. But there's a time where they start recruiting you rather than you start recruiting them.
There's a ninth grade golfer out there watching this video, and they want to play in college golf, play golf in college. What advice would you have for them as far as their recruiting process is concerned?
I'd mostly say forget about the name of the school. That's the big thing. In ninth grade, I wanted to go to a big name school, Big Ten, SEC.
Yep.
But that's really not important. I never heard of Stetson when I started this process.
Yeah.
And now I'm here. I would say forget about, just focus on one tournament at a time. They can play well.
All right, awesome. Well, Zach, really appreciate your time. A lot of great insight that you gave us, and we wish you the best of luck at Stetson next year, and we'll be following you. And after you win your first college golf tournament, we're going to bring you back on so we can learn about your experience in college.
That's right. Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it.
No worries, buddy.